you wake up and you're doing stuff and you're like, I'm already tired tomorrow.
Exactly.
Just like they would answer to that CEO and know that you're the CEO of your own health.
Yeah.
And we're team members.
Yeah.
We're on your team.
Yeah.
And yeah, I honestly think they felt like the Whole Foods were privileged to those with money. And don't get twisted. I see some of what they're saying, because what you can get for some of the processed foods for your money, and then, that's a bag of grapes, and they're like, we can't feed our family on a bag of grapes. But at the same time, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Balance to Excellence show. I'm Dr. Judy Wright. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let's get into it. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Nana Wilmot-DeSouza. So Dr. DeSouza is a family physician who's based in Minnesota. And Dr. Nana, as most call her, is the founder of Arise Medical and Wellness, which is a primary care clinic dedicated to managing chronic diseases by incorporating lifestyle changes that are tailored to each individual's needs. Her true passion lies in building genuine connections with her patients and empowering them to become their own healthcare advocates. Outside of her medical practice, Dr. Nana enjoys exploring new places with her family, capturing moments through photography, and indulging her love for cooking. We're going to have to talk about that, Doctor. In fact, she even hosts a quarterly Dine at the Doc's Table event, partnering with a local chef and dietitian to demonstrate how healthy eating can be delicious and fun. Dr. Nana's mission is simple. It is to help people evolve into the best versions of themselves, mind, body, and soul. We're excited to speak with Dr. Nana and learn more about her approach to wellness, connection, and empowering individuals on their health journeys. Welcome, Dr. Nana. Thank you so much for being on the Balance.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Wright.
So, is there anything that I left out so far?
No, you said a mouthful.
I am clamoring, but I'm going to hold myself off about to wait to talk about this cooking, because I love to cook. I'm clamoring, but I'm gonna hold off now. Okay. Okay. So, Dr. Nana, can you just tell us more about your journey, how you decided to go into family medicine, and then what inspired you to start Arise Medical and Wellness?
Well, when I was in medical school thinking what to become, so to speak, when I become a big girl, I think I just needed to find a specialty that made sense for me. And I'm a very relational person. Even though I'm an introvert, if I know something about you, I'll never forget it. I will always remember it. And it's kind of one of those things that drew me to family medicine. And my residency was fabulous in helping us harness what it means to cultivate relationship with patients, understand their culture, and just really be there for the patient and make sure they knew that they could count on you. And so family medicine was a no-brainer for me. In terms of what led me to start Arise, I feel like it was a mishmash of things. There was no one particular time it was like, oh, I'm going to start Arise. It was 2020. We were all cooped inside and, trying to figure out what to do. There was telemedicine, and all these things. And at one time I remember writing down what I thought I saw as a vision of, having a medical practice. But I pretty much quickly put it to the side and never thought much about it until about 2 or so years later, I was beginning to get a little restless in my job. I had a fabulous job. I'm still in close relationship with the people I worked with. So it wasn't bad, but I started to feel attention of there was more beyond these doors. There was more that I could be doing for my patients. There was more I could be doing for myself and for my family. And so I just began to feel this unease and discomfort. And I had never felt that before. So I had to sit in that, wrestle with it, and ask myself, am I going to take a leap of faith, or am I going to just still sit in this discomfort and never know what could be? And so that was when the genesis of Arise began, so to speak.
There's something about writing something down,
Mm-hmm.
even if you kind of just put it to the side, right? Like I always say, when I write something down, that's when I'll never need to look at it again. It's stuck in my head somewhere, right? But if I don't write it down, that's gone. Just so there's something about writing it down, and I call 2020 and part of 2021 the slowdown that allowed people's minds to open. Right? But there's something about just writing something down, and something may be delayed, but it's not denied. If
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that in your deepest moments comes to you, bursts forth through your heart, you sometimes we try to shove things back and be like, oh, but it'll just keep coming back. It doesn't mean everybody will act on it. And that sometimes when it is really that thing, it could be tragic. I'm so happy that you decided to follow it through.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
2 years later, you're like, nah, it's still calling my name.
Mm-hmm.
Still
Yeah.
saying something. The other thing that I picked up on was what you said about family medicine. Um, because as a family practitioner myself, I totally understand it. I always say to people, I love a story. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about family medicine is it's so holistic in its nature, right? That you get to hear the story and the story sticks.
Yeah.
So I'm not always great at names. I'm terrible at names, Dr. Nana. I'm going to be I'm terrible at names. But then somebody will say, I'm like, I don't remember that. And they say, the ones that did, they don't get 7 good words in before I said, oh, the ones that blah, 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 blah. And I could tell them the entire story, and it was from 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So, and so there's something about that building the relationships and understanding that whole person, not just what they walked in with that day,
Mm-hmm.
but understanding them as a whole person. You can't beat it. You
No,
can't beat it.
there's something very special about that you can. It's kind of like being a family member, but you just don't live there, right?
Right.
That's my favorite part, because even now I see people in the grocery store or something like, "Hey, where are you?" And I can just tell them something, and they're like, "You remembered?" And I'm like, "Of course."
Of
So.
course. Of course. So that's what's so special. So now, y- one of the things that it says is that you really kind of specialize in working with people with their chronic diseases, and that's
Mhm.
so big in our community. Um, it's unfortunate to say it this way, but our healthcare system does not do well on prevention. And
Mhm.
so we have a lot more people with chronic diseases. And so, how do you approach the chronic disease management from your perspective?
Yeah, so I generally like to let the patient kind of begin to understand, do you have a vision for your health? What does that look like for you? Um, and in doing that, you can see, okay, maybe this person wants to, I don't know, go on a trip, or this person wants to spend more time with the family member, this person wants to do this. And from that, you work backwards and say, well, listen, you have this and this and this issue. And if we don't delve into it and really manage it well, you're not going to be able to enjoy what you want to enjoy. And so it's in a way making the person look inward and say, what can I do in my own way? Because we all know that unfortunately our system fails us sometimes, right? Well, not sometimes, a majority of the time. Um, if your provider is not culturally competent enough to understand, okay, this person is from this culture and this is how they do this and this is how they do this and don't do this, instead of having a cookie cutter approach, my way is look at the cultural background of my patient and then again see their vision for their future and the vision for what they would really love to do, and then begin to manage it that way. Because if I tell somebody don't eat blah, well, what does that really mean for them, right? And so that's when I really began to um, practice more lifestyle medicine and understood there was a whole separate department of medicine called lifestyle medicine. Um, and that made sense for me as a practitioner to be able to embody the whole person, rather than just kind of just piecemealing, okay, you take this medicine, you do this. But in terms of a whole person approach, how do I do it and do it well so the person is successful, and is whatever they're doing is sustainable for them down the road so that they can live a healthier, happier life.
What you said about it just brought back something to my head. When I was in medical school, we had this guest lecturer that came to talk to us, and I think he was originally from the West Coast, but he had moved in practice down south, and he said he was trying to tell people, okay, eat, more fish and all of that. And, because he said he found a lot of them had what we used to call the triple attack, which was high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's trying to help them with a better lifestyle. And he told them, eat more fish, the omega-3s. And he said, then they would come back and they would have gained weight. And it's like, pressure's out of whack. And he's like, well, were you doing that? And they said, oh, yes, doctor, you said eat more fish. We were like, okay. And we started to have more fried catfish. And I was like, and I never, we were laughing so hard because he said he did not understand. He did not realize. And he's like, it was a learning moment for
Mm-hmm.
him. And not only being clear with what you mean, but really understanding the area and the culture
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
around you, right?
Yeah.
And it was him trying to get across. So often we get upset at the patients, but are we truly trying to understand the patient? So when you said that, that brought that to, right? Because it's really true. You have,
Mm-hmm.
even if with the cultural competency, and some people think that means, oh, understand the people outside the country. No, you can understand the people right in your country,
Mm-hmm.
right in your city. And there's like all different different sets of ways to do things. But if you are willing to learn and willing to even ask them, what does it look like for you and your family when how do you normally do things? Is that part of the culture? We don't have to know everything, but be
Yeah.
willing to understand. It's so
Yeah.
important.
Yep. And then just being able to say, like I said, what is the vision for your health? I remember I had a Native American patient, and she was the grandma of the house. And she came to me and was really kind of shaken because there was one Thanksgiving, and most of the people at the table had diabetes, and so each person took out their pen to give themselves their insulin before their meal. And so her grandson said, Grandma, I can't wait to be like you guys so I can start using my pen, right? And so for her, that really stuck out to her and was like, no way, this is not
Wow.
what we were intending to pass on, but for this little kid, that's what he saw.
To
And
be
so,
included.
huh? And
Oh,
so he thought, I can't wait to get to where everybody is so I can also have the pen and use it, not knowing that, no, this is actually a disease that we need to actually fix. And so that was her wake up moment, so to speak, to begin to say, oh no, we can't have this. We need to break that And, so that my grandson knows that he doesn't have to have a pen to be included at the table, because that's actually a bad thing. So it's
Bless
just
your heart.
changing that narrative. But you have to be sensitive enough and have
Yeah,
that acumen to really know, again, what am I dealing with, rather than just I'm dealing with diabetes. But it goes beyond this woman in that room. It goes to her grandchildren as well.
bless her heart, because as probably the matriarch,
Mm-hmm.
if it concerned her and she opts to make a change, other people may opt to make a change,
Mm-hmm.
right? Rather than blow. You remember the movie Soul Food,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
And Big Mama knew she had diabetes, but she still was cooking all this food. If you can get the matriarch to sign on, and the matriarch her herself, that's why I said bless her.
Yeah.
Some people would have just, oh, he's so funny. That's so funny. She was
Yeah.
like, I don't find this mess. Wait a minute. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you aspiring to this at all.
No, no.
So, oh wow, that's such
Mm-hmm.
a great moment to have, because that's her coming and opening to you and saying, "Help me,"
Mm-hmm.
so that the next generation doesn't have to deal with this.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why lifestyle is so important, because what we know, many studies, right? If a parent is obese, then sometimes it goes down to the children, and all of that. Or if there's it's kind of a mirroring effect, and we just have to really, as medical practitioners, understand the power we have in really actually impacting generations beyond what we see.
Do you mind, Dr. Nana, explaining maybe not the difference, maybe even how it interlocks, but what is lifestyle medicine versus you do family medicine, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
you added this component of lifestyle medicine, and in full transparency, I didn't even know that was a thing until 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and I'm just saying, I'm smart. I didn't know that was a thing
Yeah.
till 2020. So, you know, could you just explain a little bit about what that is?
Mm-hmm. So basically, it's an angle of medicine that believes in five pillars, is what we call it. It's healthy eating, exercise, sleep, stress management, social connectedness. Now, we know these things are literally the foundations of good health, right? I think for a while we kind of forgot the whole social connectedness until COVID hit, and we realized, oh, okay, this is an important pillar of life, right? Because if you remove this whole pillar from somebody, some people were crumbling
Yeah,
because they didn't have that.
yeah,
And if you take, away sleep, think about all the people who have chronic insomnia and how they're always stressed out, and there's some one thing or the other in their life is not going well. And then, well, let's not talk about food, because food is an issue in our country, right? Healthy food. I think now there's a whole big discussion about unprocessed food, processed foods, whole foods, all of these things. And so it's really bringing to light that the basic things that we know in the depths of us are important are now being brought to the forefront. So we use that as our guiding pillars for treating disease and for turning people's lives around. And when we talk about healthy eating in lifestyle medicine, it's being um, a diet that's predominant in whole foods.
yes, yes, and whole foods and clean foods.
Mm-hmm.
The less processed, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so funny. I think my family's originated from the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
and so I grew up on. I always tell people I don't know a pizza roll. I don't know. Like that stuff just wasn't in our freezer. So I
Mm-hmm.
grew up. Now, does that mean that I didn't eat processed foods? I did, but I found that as I got older, and especially when I started to have kids, my kids never had bottled baby food ever, because I was just like, I don't understand. And the one let me take that back. I tried to give it to my son once because we were out, and the way he spit that thing, like shot fire out of his mouth,
Yep.
I was like, that's not gonna work. That's not
Yep.
gonna.
Yeah. And I love to see that because of social media, now there's like a whole emphasis on, people being more cognizant of whole foods. Rather than before it was kind of in the background, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
now there's more noise being made about it. So hopefully we'll see that becomes the food industry gets turned around and more
right.
lives are impacted positively
'Cause
because
yeah, I honestly think they felt like the Whole Foods were privileged to those with money, and
hmm
don't get it twisted. I see some of what they're saying because what you can get for some of the processed foods for your money, and then that's a bag of grapes, and they're like, we can't feed our family on a bag of grapes. But at the same time, it actually is not just can be, is cheaper to buy. You can make so much more, right, if you can think outside of the box with Whole Foods. And part of
hmm
that is having more plant-based stuff on your plate than we than we often do,
hmm
right?
hmm
And so people will hear us talking about food, but food is medicine. Food
absolutely.
absolutely is medicine, and is a great part if you can learn or teach the next generation to keeping them from the chronic diseases, the load in the society of chronic diseases that we
hmm hmm Yeah.
face. So, thank you so much for that, because I'm not kidding. I had no
Mhm.
idea. I was
Yeah.
like, what is lifestyle medicine in 2020? I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So that's great. So you emphasize empowering the patients to become advocates of their own health. And this is something that is near and dear to my heart, the idea of advocacy. And even now, my whole thing is to empower other medical professionals to advocate for themselves, because it may seem like, oh, well, you're the medical professional. Yeah, doctors don't always advocate for themselves well at all.
you know.
Nurses do a better job.
Oh yeah. Nurse practitioners do an even better job.
so so it's about um advocating for yourself and prioritizing your wellness too, because I believe that a healthy medical professional community will lead to a healthy community. You can do through showing as well. So can you discuss how you guide your patients on the journey of becoming advocates for their own health and even their loved ones?
I think it begins with a conversation. It begins with an honest conversation of sometimes I'm seeing somebody from, a different provider and I say a simple question. Tell me what your A1C is, or tell me what medication you're on. Tell me why you're on this medication. Tell me what's happening. And if they can't tell me that, I begin to say, okay, from today onwards, if I tell you something, I need you to remember, if it's in a notebook, if it's on your phone, it doesn't matter. You need to know what your numbers are, because you might go somewhere else and somebody will ask you, hey, tell me whatever. And if you don't know, that's a failure on my part as your doctor, to not having educated you enough for you to know, hey, I need to know this, right? Because if you go to your regular job and they ask you, tell me what you're working on, you know what to do and you know what to tell them.
Yes.
Your person is the most important asset you have. And so you need to know your numbers. You need to understand, I am on this medication. I don't want you to tell me I'm on a pink medication or a blue medication and not know what it is. Because if we have to change something and there's nobody around, you should be able to tell them, oh, I take metoprolol for this. I take losartan. I take whatever it is you're taking, 10 milligrams of this. we tried this other medication before and it didn't work. And so we went this way. So you need to understand, you don't have to have all the details, but why are you on this medication? Were you tried on something else before? What is your simple numbers? Do you know what, your basic numbers are? And I think that that's a great foundation, because then you can have a conversation and the person would know, oh, okay, you actually know what we are talking about here, rather than being clueless and you get put on some medication that you had a reaction to 10 years ago that, we don't have access to. And then we end up causing you more harm than we should. And so I think it's invariably important. I ask my mom when she goes to the doctor, so what were you told to take today? And she knows I'm going to ask her. She knows I'm going to ask what dose and all of that. And did she have an input on what was being said and what were her thoughts, right? Before I allow her to proceed with whatever the plan is. And if I do that for my mother, I want everybody to have that same.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to ask one of my brothers. He has diabetes, and he's ESRD. He's end stage renal. But I used to ask him when he was not, because I really wanted to know how his diet doing, and he wouldn't tell me. And it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And so now he's end stage renal and stuff like that. And now he is giving me complete access. Like, I have a sign in to his hospital record. It's like, because I need to know.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I notice now is he's well versed.
Oh yeah.
He's now very well versed, even on stuff about the dialysis and what his dry weight is, and he's very. And I was like, that's yes, because it's like you said, right? They go in to work. If they have a job and someone says, what are you working on and where are you with it, and when will be the completion, they know that, because if they don't know that, they may not have a job, right? And so it's I always say, just like they would answer to that CEO, and know that you're the CEO of your own house.
Yeah.
And we're team members.
Yeah.
We're on your team.
Yep.
Right. So I love that how you address that with them and have them doing the work. I can go in and clean for you. It's going to be messy next week, but if I teach you how to clean it, right?
Yeah. I tell them I'm your coach.
Right.
Just look at me as a coach. We're on the field. I am not in the game. You are the one in the game. I stand outside and I tell you, I run the play with you and I tell you what the play looks like and let's go score a touchdown. But in terms of on the field, I give you the tools. You are the person who implements the tools on the field. And so I feel like if I can do that and, show my patients, hey, this is that important to me that I'm willing to teach you, coach you, empower you. But when it gets to the field, I need you to put your best foot forward, because this is your life.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing is just letting people know, oh my God, I hate to say this. I used to have a couple of patients that would say, well, it is what it is. And if I, go, I go. We'll say it like that because we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
If I go, I go. And I used to just be like, well, and then one day I said, this ain't 1960s, 1970s. Honestly, going is the easy part. Right? There's all kinds of stuff in between that could lead to all kinds of suffering. You don't want this. You don't want this. You don't want to have the numbness in your feet and your legs, and you're slowly or quickly going blind, and multiple heart attacks or stroke. You don't want that, because that's suffering. That's not quality of life, right? In other words, I stopped being so nice.
Yeah.
I stopped being so kumbaya, because this is your life. Like you just said, you on the field. I'm not on the field. I'm coaching.
Yeah, I'm a coach.
All right. This is your life,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, you're a busy physician and you have a family. And so how do you juggle it all? How do you how do you find some balance in all your responsibilities that you have?
I have a great support system. My husband is literally my secret weapon, in terms of,
That's
allowing me to do what I do. Because he's been there since my residency, well, since medical school journey. So he understands. He's able to take care of the kids. He's able to do school drop-offs, school pickups. He probably knows more about them than I do. But we're trying to change that, which is why I went into private practice, because now his job is a little bit more demanding. And so I just felt like, okay, it was time for me to make changes that would allow us to restructure our lives for a better balance. But I prioritize my mental health and my self-care. I try to wake up early, journal, pray, and begin my day that way. And it helps me prepare myself for my day. So if I meet something along the way, I know that I'm fully charged up before I showed up, right? So I try to show up as my full self every single day rather than be empty and feel drained. I exercise. I try to eat healthy, just like I tell my patients. So I literally practice what I preach to my patients, empowering myself, reading books, um, listening to podcasts. So I honestly just try to fill myself as much as possible, because I'm always telling my patients, the plane, when you get on the plane, they say put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can save somebody else. So if my oxygen mask is not on me, then it's gonna be a hot mess. So that's how I prioritize my mornings, with just me and my Bible and prayer and journaling. So I can feel like, okay, I'm ready for my day. So that's how I do that.
How early do you wake up? To
By 5:45, I am up. That's
you
yeah. Hmm.
to get I asked you that because I'm not really a morning person. But but I do get up for the similar thing that you were talking about. Like, when I'm more of a night person, but as I get older, what I find is I'm wide awake at night, but that doesn't mean my brain is functioning optimally at that time anymore.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
used to be it's firing. And it's not really doing that anymore, but I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
and so what I asked you that because I've heard some people say, "Oh, I wake up at 3:30," and I'm like, "That's not happening."
No, I'm not at that camp.
Uh,
Five would be my earliest, and then try to get in a few snoozes here and there, but not 3:30. I do have a friend who wakes up at 4.
30 is a bit much, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I've heard
no.
30, I've heard yeah, I'm a member of a 24-hour gym, so I wake up and by 4:15 I'm in the gym, and I'm like, "Are you
When
body
did you go to bed?
like, are you going into competition?" Like, I just we and that part. What time did you go to bed? 6 in the afternoon? Like, what? You know, uh, I just want to know. But for me, what I find is, even though I'm not a morning person, the sole reason that I will wake up at 5:30 is because I know my kids are getting up at 6:30, and my brain just needs some me time. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
literally, just I don't want anybody asking me anything at all. And if you happen to have woken up early for some reason, please keep that to yourself until 6:30.
Yeah, I think the one thing we need to be better at is just prioritizing that time with just you, and before you hit your emails, before you, because we are busy physicians, right? We are always going all the time. We talk all the time. So for me, this is my time to just be like, silent before my day starts, because it's go, go, go until we fall asleep again. And I made a commitment to myself. I don't want to just run through my day and lay down at night, be like, oh, thank God I made it through the day. Like, that I feel like for me, that's living an opposite life of what I intend to do. And so I had to write down, okay, I'm going to wake up, do this, and then begin my day so I feel more energized.
Yeah. I love how you spoke about the oxygen mask and about how you have a self-care routine.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that you mentioned is part of your self-care,
Mm-hmm.
the spiritual piece that you do, the the eating well, every part of that is you engaging in some form of self-care. So I
Mm-hmm.
really because quiet has kept a lot of people and a lot of us as physicians don't do that. It's exactly what you said. It's get up and go. There was there was a time when I didn't do it because, like I said, I wake up and it's just whoosh,
Go. Yeah.
just go.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go, and then it's a cycle, and then it's just time to do it all over again. So,
Yeah. And then you fall into bed like, oh,
right,
okay.
right. No reflection. No,
No,
you
nothing.
you wake up and you're doing stuff, and you're like, I'm already tired tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's this
Yeah.
morning. I'm already tired tomorrow.
Yes, yes. I was recently reading a book by Ben Sullivan, and it's called The Gap and the Gain. I believe that's the title of the book. And they were talking about often we are trying to live up to this ideal, and so we fall into the gap of just focusing on that rather than what is the gain, what have I achieved, and so going to bed with writing down 3 gains for the day. What did I do today that was good, like that I could feel good about? And
Like
then
that.
looking forward to tomorrow. What can I do tomorrow that would improve my day? So it's beginning to change that mindset and just living from a place where we are thriving and not just surviving throughout our day. So it was a really good book. And that's
Yes,
been challenging me to just do
why
that.
if anybody sees me looking down and looking away, because I will forget it.
Yeah.
So I immediately pulled it up because I don't want to forget it. It's going
Yeah.
on my Audible.
Oh, it's a good book. It's a good book. Yeah.
So thank you for that. I am always listening. What's the next thing I need to pay attention to? Okay, the
Hmm.
gap and gain. Okay.
I'm the same way. My phone is, I have notes everywhere. I see an article, I just copy it and paste it into a section where I can look at it later. So yes.
Absolutely. So thank you for that suggestion because that is true. And it's kind of like me talking about gratitude and
Hmm.
having an attitude of gratitude and just writing it down. You know, I found that uh, I was working somewhere, and every month they would have us talk about a success story, and you know
Hmm.
what we do well and what we don't do well. We just get up and go and do.
Hmm.
To be productive as medical professionals, and we don't see it as a big deal. But when the time comes and somebody says, "Can you tell us a success story?" We're like,
What success story?
I just did my job. I don't know. You know? And so we're not often good at seeing the wins because to us, it's like opening and shutting a door.
Hmm.
It's just what we do, right? And so when you take on an attitude of gratitude and really hone in on, I'm going to write down 3 things that I'm grateful for today. And sometimes for some people that's difficult at first, but it starts to put you in the mindset of when you're walking around during the day, now all of a sudden you're looking at stuff and you're like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can be grateful about that. And so the gap and the gains, this is definitely something that I'm going to read. So you can miss it if you don't get yourself in that
Absolutely.
mindset. You
Mm-hmm.
absolutely can miss what did I do and what was the gain from it?
Yeah. Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
it puts you in a more positive mindset.
Yeah. And I learned that, over the last few years, I started doing medical missions in Honduras, and
Mm.
my mentor there, Dr. Martin, incredible guy. I learned that from him. He started from nothing, right? And now has an amazing facility in the jungle, serving people. And he is grateful every single day he's seeing a patient. He's like, thank you so, these people have nothing to offer him, and he gives them everything. But just for him being grateful for even being able to serve them and serve them well, it keeps the relationship so pure, and it's incredible to really watch him work. And I started being like, okay, I need to be a little bit more mindful of what I'm doing, where I am, and being grateful that we have the skill that we can put to use to people. For us, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is just what I do. But um, this is actually something that positively impacts somebody's life and makes them better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Has there ever been times when you felt you weren't achieving the level of balance you expect from yourself?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we get down on ourselves because, as medical people, with the way our brain works, it's like you have to see something objectively in order to say, okay, this is a quantifiable thing that I can put a number to.
That's so
Um, but it's like, yeah, no, we can't do that, right? Because how do you quantify being at peace? How do
you
you
literally took the words out of my mouth. How do you quantify that?
Yeah, how do you quantify? It's not a quantity you put to it. It's really just living and knowing, okay, yeah, like you feel it on the inside of you, and know that there's nothing you can't, there's no pH, there's no, whatever you can just put a number to and say, I'm on a scale of 10 to 20, I'm at 20 at peace. I think just if you can actually just, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm I'm grateful, I'm content, I'm at peace. That's there's something to be said about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now we come to the part that I have been very patient. I've been patient. I am so proud of me. Um, but let's talk about this love for cooking that
Yeah.
we both have.
Hmm.
And I want to know about your dine at the docks table. I want
So
to understand that.
yeah, so I've always loved cooking because my mom, that was her thing. She catered meals. I grew up in Ghana, West Africa, until the age of 15 when we migrated here. And so that's what she did for a living. And so my sisters and I all love to cook. And so when I began to learn about, okay, food is medicine. So how do I marry, what I'm doing in the clinic versus what I'm doing in the kitchen, and make sure that my patient can know? Because I think the biggest barriers were like, oh doc, I can't eat this. I can't cook this. I can't, whatever. But we tell our patients, eat healthy. What does that mean?
Mm,
What does eating healthy mean in the context of making them healthy? And so I was chatting with a dietitian friend of mine, and we were coming up with plans. And I said, hey, this is my vision. I want to start having people at the table so they can see what good food looks like, um, and something that also positively impacts your life. And so we found a local chef whose mission is the same. And so we partnered, and we've had a great success of just showing people, okay, use this if you want to have something like a drink that's refreshing, but also less sugar, do this. And, so it's a real life class of showing people what it means to eat healthy and still enjoy all the great flavors.
And so is it like when you put that out and you do it, you said quarterly?
Yes, we do it quarterly. We've had to pause a little bit because the chef lost his kitchen that we were doing it out of, and so we're trying to restructure for the new year where
Mhm.
to have it. But yeah, we were doing it quarterly.
And so it's open. I mean, obviously, I'm
It's
thinking.
open. We usually put it out on Eventbrite or somewhere people can see easily, and we have a nominal fee just to help pay for the chef's time and for the kitchen and all of the ingredients and stuff like that. And so we were trying to pair it up according to the season, right? And so for the summer we had grilling tips, how to properly grill, how to have veggies that are grilled and nicely done. And so we're just trying to pair it according to the seasonal. We're pretty much trying to do seasonal eating, just to help people not say, oh, I couldn't get this ingredient. Well, it's the fall. What ingredient is there, right? There's lots of squashes around. So use a squash to make something nutritious for you. If it's the summer, there's other things. So we're trying to make the patient begin to think, use what is available to you. You don't have to go break the bank,
Right. Oh,
to eat healthy. Just use what is available and pair it up with this and pair it up with that to come up with a good, delicious meal.
and I think that's often what was the stopgap, right? Like if when people weren't getting online or watching HGTV and all we had were cookbooks, lots of cookbooks in our, in our kitchen, people were getting these cookbooks and they're like, I don't have that ingredient and I don't have that ingredient. And it's possible that my store doesn't have it either, because that's a whole different other thing,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Whether you live in a place that
Food desert.
that's not what it is, or you live in a food desert, you may not
Mhm.
have access to some of these ingredients, and that became a stopgap for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um, so with the idea that, okay, let's make this sustainable,
Mhm.
right? By doing it seasonally, that's sustainability on their diet, sustainability on their wallet. Like this is a big thing. See, I know I can go off on a tangent, but this is a humongous thing, right?
Mhm.
Because it's similar to what we were seeing for a long time, with people getting their medications, right? If you just write whatever you want to write instead of trying to figure out what their insurance is going to pay for, right? If they have insurance, or what's affordable to them,
Mhm.
you know, similar this way. Think about what can they make, budget friendly foods that are still quite nutritious, change with the seasons, what's interchangeable. You may have a favorite meal that you like in the summer, but you want to have it in the winter. But that thing in the summer, you're not going to find a store in the winter. Okay, how can we interchange that? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just giving them those tools that they could feel like they're able to be. My friend always says, you don't cook, you create, Judy. They feel they could be creative, because that's what I love about it. At
Yeah.
a time when I didn't think I'm a creative person, I get creative in the kitchen, and this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
why
And
I
even down to knife skills, right? We realize, okay, the chef will teach you, okay, this is how you cut, because I think that's something we take for granted. If you don't come from a home where you saw that, you don't know that, okay, there's a certain way to hold a knife and cut and do all of that. So very much just trying to teach people you can cook. Is not that you don't have the ability to, it's just you were never taught. And so we are willing to teach you, so that you can actually use that as part of your empowering tool to get healthy. And so that was how that was birthed.
went to something similar as what you are talking about. but it was at a conference.
Was
And
it the Healthy Kitchen?
oh, I don't know. It wasn't a healthy. It was actually at our association, the AAFP
Okay.
conference, had a culinary portion, and I went to it. It's the first time I ever had farro. I didn't even know what this was. I was like, they got oatmeal
Yeah.
in plate as a savory thing, and then I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, this doesn't say oatmeal. It says farro, and
Uh-huh.
I had it. And the way that this doctor and this chef prepared it, I was like, there's farro sitting in my house right now. Now I'm too scared to prepare it, but I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
right? And I'm scared to disappoint the situation because it was so good. And I really didn't. I had heard of farro before, but I was like, yeah, that's like buckwheat and
Yeah.
bulgur, and I'm not doing that, right? But I decided to get it because I love quinoa.
Yeah.
I love
Mm-hmm.
couscous.
Mm-hmm.
Kids still textures. You know how kids are about
Yeah.
textures.
Yeah.
But that'll change. But I love that stuff. So I said, I'm going to do this farro. I'm going to do it. So it's just a matter of opening up your mind a bit and getting creative with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's challenging your palate, right? It's challenging your palate because again, we get comfortable in what we know and what's easy and all of that. And so we don't challenge our palate to know, okay, no, if you added more plants into your diet, you would feel better. It would, everything would be better. And I tell my patient, I had to start trying new vegetables. Because beets were never something that was in my context, right? In my cultural context, so I never thought about it. But but then
it's tonight.
I yeah, so I started just like trying different things. I was like, oh, actually, a beet salad is not terrible. So it's again for all of us,
To
it's
each his
something
own. Seriously, I
exactly.
have a lot of people around me that love beets. I can't get with the taste of it. But a lot of people that love beets the same way a lot of people I know love olives. I can't get the taste of that either. I love olive oil, but
Yeah,
but not olives. But yes, if you can get something that you love in your diet, like some people still won't eat Brussels sprouts. Man, a good thing of roasted Brussels sprouts for me is it.
yes. With the balsamic vinegar
Yes.
glaze, 100%. Yeah. But see, that's also something I had to learn, right? Brussels sprouts. I was like, what is this thing? It looks like a little cabbage. It's literally, I mean, it's just like life, you just have to challenge um what has been, what is, and just that allows you to get better. And so that's what we're trying to do, is making sure people are not stuck in their old ways, but learning new things and being open to learning, because that's life. We have to learn.
Absolutely. Now, I have two last questions for you, but before I do that, and for those who are still with us, thank you so much. Please like, share, comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting
Come
for?
on, hit that button.
Absolutely. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast, or you can watch this on YouTube. So please do. So, Dr. Nana, this has been a great discussion. So I
Yes.
have two more questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. These are deep thought questions.
I'll try to answer.
The first question, what advice would you give to other healthcare professionals who are looking to develop a strong connection with their patients, but also trying to maintain some balance in their life? Because I think some people feel like if I am that deep into their lives, I'm not going to have a life of my own. So, like, what advice would you give?
Um, I would say just think of it as how you establish a friendship, right? Not to that principle where you're out and about with them and all of that, but um, patients are just looking for somebody they can count on. And for us, yes, we have the technical know-how, but we are also human beings who were created for connection, for community. And so it's just a simple thing of learn their story. What is it about them? How did they get where they are? Was there something that positively impacted them or negatively impacted them? Um, and then just develop that. We are all connected in some way, right? I don't have to have the same experience as you, but there is something that we have in common that we can all find. And that's all a patient is looking for. They want somebody they can depend on. And I find that patients that you're connected with are actually respectful of your time. So don't be afraid to connect because you feel like you'd be burdened. For them, they just want somebody to be in their corner because they feel like if I have this person in my corner, maybe I will succeed, right? Just like I alluded to before, I am a coach. And the coach at the end of the day, they go home, right? And they can be with their families and know that they did the best job that they could do with that patient. And for coaches, their players move on, right? But moving on doesn't mean that they still didn't enjoy the relationship in the time that they had it. And so it's really just letting your guard down in that setting, but still put boundaries, right? Let your patients know, oh, hey, this and that. But it's that tension that we all have to live with and know that if I develop a positive relationship with my patient, it will empower them to take ownership of their life and then make sustainable changes that will impact not just them, but generations to come after them.
You know what I heard? And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you know what I heard when you were just talking? It was showing them your humanity
Mm-hmm.
while showing them that you're understanding their humanity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's a power in that. I don't think that they're necessarily looking for perfection. I
Mm-mm.
think there was a time people lauded their physicians like they were gods, and and we don't want that.
No,
Like we
I
we
don't.
want that, right? Because we're not, and we don't look for that in our own physicians.
Mm-mm.
Because newsflash, we have physicians too, because we are patients as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
I think just knowing that I have a unique opportunity to positively impact somebody. We were the original influencers, right? Now social media has like
yeah,
influencers galore, but I think it's time for us health practitioners to understand I am an influencer of some people that would never,
mm,
I won't be seen on TikTok. I won't be seen on whatever other social media platform there is. However, my influence is just as impactful and it's just as great. And that's the ownership that we need to take
that
in
is.
knowing that, wow, this is a powerful position to be in.
Mm,
Even though I'm a human being and they see me as human, they've seen me pregnant, they've seen me all kinds of stuff. And they love that. They love knowing that your doctor is just as human as you, but they can positively impact me. And that's an amazing
yeah,
thing.
it's powerful. That's powerful. And the last question: has your definition of success evolved over time? What does it look like for you now?
Success for me now as a entrepreneur is just making it through, each quarter and developing systems that I know we can sustain. And so, usually depending on what setting, it's like, oh, I got to follow this metric. I got to follow this metric. But I think it's going beyond that and, um, coming back to the gap and the gain and knowing, okay, I'm successful if I am in the gain. I am successful if I have been able to set up a system in my clinic that helps us run better. I am successful when I can switch a patient's mindset so that they can then be better. And so success is beyond wealth, I think, because in our society, we think if somebody's successful, they're wealthy, right?
Yeah.
But there's emotional wealth, there's, physical wealth, there's spiritual wealth, and all of these angles. And so I think that if I am walking at peace and, setting up all these things like I said before, I am successful.
That's wonderful. Excellent. Well, Dr. Nana, I know you said you're not going to be an influencer on social media, but I know I've seen some things on, I think it was Instagram. So how can people connect with you? I mean, everybody doesn't live in Minnesota. Everybody's not going to get the beauty of having Dr. Nana as their personal doctor, but how can people connect with you?
You can find me on social media. I'm doing my best over there. It's Dr. Nana W. DeSouza on Instagram, and on Facebook is Nana Wilmot-DeSouza. And
the W is W DeSouza. It's not anything in between the W.
No, there's nothing. It's just Dr. Nana W. DeSouza on Instagram. Okay. And then Arise Wellness Med is on YouTube. We're starting our YouTube channel there. So that's where you can find us.
I think you're going to be an influencer on social media after all. You guys heard it first.
Bye, Dr. Judy.
Oh, this has been my pleasure. This has been such a great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been great. Okay, everyone. Well, that's it for this episode. And I believe that's it for this season. So, tune for next season where we will have more guests. Thank you so much for being here again. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.